let me talk about this again, because I do think it's important when you do a national show. SEC is hosting its media days, and they're really a big deal. The SEC, it's like I've always said about the NFL. You can tell the NFL is bigger than other sports because their draft is a 4-day TV show. Their combine, guys in shorts. It's incredible. Like the NFL, everything, the schedule release for the NFL takes up 2 days of media. You know the SEC's the biggest conference in college football when their media days are an absolute freaking circus. And so Lane Kiffin's talking. It's fantastic. So the SEC media days are fantastic. Nick Saban is talking about something. And I'm gonna pose a question to all of you and ask you a question after Nick. He starts talking about the NIL and there's no guardrails. And here goes Nick Saban.
And in the NFL, they have guidelines for agents because the NFL Players Association sort of has rules and regulations about how they professionally, help the players. So that's, something that, we really want to make sure that our players are not being misguided in any way. And the biggest concern is this impact and affect recruiting because on the recruiting trail right now, there's a lot of people using this as inducements to go to their school by making promises as to whether they may or may not be able to keep in terms of, what players are doing.
So don't be fooled by this. As much as I respect and love Nick Saban, I would tell this to his face. Alabama's currently 15th in the country in recruiting. They're usually second, first, or third. They're 15th. Because schools like Miami and Oregon and other schools, Texas A&M, are buying high school recruits, which is not illegal. It is not illegal. Nobody wants to acknowledge it, but Lane Kiffin said it yesterday. What was illegal a year ago is now business. Go buy high school players for 7 figures. It's true. I'm not blaming anybody. And I was thinking about this. My entire life, people or programs have dominated college football for different reasons. Nebraska dominated college football for 2 reasons in like the 60s, 70s, early 80s. Why? They had a great coach, and they had the best weight program in the country. Their weight room was like legendary decades before everybody. When USC and Miami were the big dogs in this sport, they didn't have the most rabid fan bases. They often had multiple coaches. But they had a geographical advantage. Miami-Dade County's got a lot of ballers, and so does L.A. And then there's Alabama, and, they've got a great coach and great financial support. But we've had a lot of different programs be very successful for a lot of different reasons. Sometimes it's a geographical edge, a brand edge, a coaching edge. What if going forward, for the next 10 years, this is what dominates college football? Whoever has the best NIL and the best donors who care the most about their program. Texas and Texas A&M may do very, very well. There's a lot of money in Texas. In California, USC is a good football program, but we're very distracted. There's a lot of pro sports. We're never going to pay players the most outside of maybe a quarterback. Now, it's an attractive market for a quarterback and skilled people because it's the entertainment capital of the country. But if for the next 10 years in college football, it is dominated by the people that were willing in this cultural change to pay the best players more. All right. Well, Alabama has paid Saban more than anybody else. They have one of the best weight rooms. They have one of the most thorough top-to-bottom economic programs. It's better than a third of the NFL. It's not like money hasn't been a big part of that. So as the sport is changing and players are being empowered, the NIL is going to matter. Lane Kiffin acknowledged it yesterday. He said, it's not facilities anymore. It's not tradition. Show me the money. All right. Well, money controls everything. Controls baseball. Who are the best teams in baseball? Mets have a rich owner. Yankees, Dodgers, Braves, Astros. Colin, that's different. That is different, Colin. It is professional sports. Well, we've always rolled our eyes at amateurism, right? The Olympics. Usain Bolt was 8 figures a year as he was an amateur. I mean, We know where World Cups and Olympics end up, right? For the amateur athletes, whatever country wants to buy them. Have some marketing for their country. Increase tourism. We know in golf right now, PGA, see ya. Live Tour, hello. Amateurism. Haven't we all argued for years in college football they should separate from the NCAA and privatize the business? It's always been driven by money, right? But if you look at what's dominated the sport over the last 50 years, a lot of the powerhouses have been built by different things. Tom Osborne in a weight program. Miami and USC glamour and swag. Notre Dame, prestige, academics, history. They're certainly not surrounded by the best athletes. What if going forward, Texas A&M and Texas, maybe in Oklahoma, it's oil country, and they can just pay players more? All right, well, it's legal. I mean, you can put up some guardrails, and I do think players are still choosing schools, many of them beyond money. But if the best NIL programs going forward dominate, so be it. College football's not just a college sport. It's a billion-dollar business. And like every other billion-dollar business connected to sports in America, money's going to drive it. And if it does for the next 10 years, Alabama will be the fourth best program, maybe sixth. Would that really hurt the sport? They've disappeared before, and the sport flourished.